Good morning. It's March 27, 2024. This is the Nefio SIG2 meeting. So good morning, everybody. Hope you can see my shared screen. So I didn't put anything on the agenda other than really just hopefully finalizing our discussion from last week over breaking things down to actual teams. I think we kind of had a brainstorming about all the different ideas that would need attention, and then maybe try to coalesce things into a list of teams. And yeah, I thought we could go over that, and if we feel that's set in stone, we can set up the labels for it and everything on GitHub, and maybe start organizing people who would like to be on the teams, or tentatively or fully committed. We can figure that out. Sounds good. Can people hear me, by the way? I hope.
Yes,
Yeah.
John.
Yeah.
Yes, John. Yeah, just
Okay, good. Anyway, anything else somebody wants to add to the agenda that's urgent or non-urgent? Good. So let's tackle.
Sorry, Ted. Just a random question I put in on the, it may be a release related, but just a random question around auto-generate code. I posted on Slack. Hopefully get some opinions back on it, but maybe it's more release related. If it is, then we can leave it.
Yeah, I saw this. Yeah, we can comment in on Slack unless somebody wants to talk about it now.
No problem.
Okay.
Cool.
Yeah, it's related specifically to Porch code generation, right? Or for code generation generally?
Code generation generally, yeah. I guess in coming from Java lands, generally you don't check in generate code, but yeah, maybe it's different in Go, or maybe for the Porch project in particular, it's required to have it checked in. I don't know. But
Yeah, it's quite common, and I don't think it's Go specific as Kubernetes specific, but Kubernetes code gen is very slow and very unstable. Anybody who used it knows what I'm talking about. So I think it's just common to check in the code, and because it won't always generate well. But another issue is that if the generated code is actually necessary in Go specifically, because it's a statically typed language. So IDEs and other things will completely break down if they don't have the necessary code.
yeah,
available. I think that might be the issue, but
that's kind of the issue, yeah. And I guess the way that Porch imports it has kind of the local import setup within its project structure.
Exactly, yeah.
It requires it, but yeah, it's just something I haven't. Yeah, in terms of auto-generating code, it doesn't feel right to check it in. But yeah, anyway.
Yeah, let's not discuss it now. But I have some opinions on it too. I mean, around from C land.
Well, I can see the discomfort, right? But there's even another strong approach in many Go projects called vendoring. I wonder if you guys heard the term. Vendoring comes from the vendor subdirectory that used to be standard in Go. The idea being that all your dependencies, all your imports, you actually download their source code and check them in with your project, so that your project can always stand alone and always be compiled, and you're not dependent on external dependencies that might come and go, right?
Okay.
So I think in Go generally, the executable is self-contained, the code should be self-contained. So I think that comes from that line of thinking. But we have so many external dependencies that we'll never be able to make it entirely self-contained, right? We depend on so many things on the internet, if it's container image packages and other things. But anyway, that could be a topic to discuss if you feel that we should have a policy over checking in code generally.
No, it was sorry, just raised it as a discussion point, but it's probably not relevant for this meeting. Sorry. Okay.
Okay. All right.
Also, just wanted to add on to the vendering thing. So it used to be one of the, at least when I, very early on in 2018 and 19, I think vendoring used to be very common. Is it still common now, vendoring? I don't know, I haven't.
I think it's less since Go introduced modules and just made everything much more stable and clean. But I still see major projects do that. That is, include the entire source code necessary in one repository. My own thinking that it's always a bit of an illusion. There's always dependencies of dependencies of dependencies. Nothing is 100%, but I can understand the desire maybe in open source to avoid, you know, what happens if somebody deletes their github.com rather than just, because Go relies on github.com rather than, you know, Python has pip and, you know, other storages for libraries.
Yeah, my main issue with checking in the compile or the generator code would be that the if you're relying on the generated code and then you don't know, you're not testing whether it's actually being generated or not. That's the so you're not actually building it from the real source.
It's a very, very good point. So I'm on record for disliking makefiles because of their lack of flexibility of these things, but you can definitely do a makefile that has some sort of a clean action before, clean target before the build target. So you could do a build that would actually delete the generated code and force it to be regenerated. I think that's very important. I agree with that.
Yeah, that's where I'm coming from. I see from the C word. We have no clean targets. But anyway, let's not. I think we have to. The other topic's more important today.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, but you know what? If you can open that as an issue to delete generated code or something like that to make sure that we're testing the build completely, I think that would be very helpful. Liam, could you do that?
I will do that, sure. Yeah.
Excellent. All right. So here's, I hope everybody can see the screen. Here's the list that we came up with. So last week we kind of spit out all the different areas that we think that we can work on. And we discussed kind of putting it in big topics. And we came up with, I guess, two ways of looking at the task forces. Either verticals on specific topics, but then they're at least I call this horizontal teams that would be kind of cross topics, right? That won't have maybe their individual board, but they might have a label, or they could have their individual board, right? You can have multiple labels per issue, which we also discussed, or raise the question whether we should do that, right? Have every issue have multiple labels, which might make it appear on different boards and different teams, and might make it difficult to know which team is responsible, right? That's kind of my concern. Anyway, I'm spitting a few topics here, but let's try to make this. I'll try to be more organized here. So let's look at these teams and decide if that is the list. Is this the definitive list? So I'll read it out loud. An O-round team to cover the O-round use case, which is huge. It includes observability and other things. The service assurance use case, which again, observability and policy and a lot of other things, right? A general, at least I called it onboarding team that will include the SDK and Helm support. And I'm not totally up to speed on what our user stories are there and what our ambitions for R3 regarding that, but definitely ongoing and important work. And a platform team, which should address many issues we have with Porch in our system generally. And I mentioned here, somebody said it might actually, it sounds like it's a horizontal team. But I don't know if issues that are related to other teams will also be here, but some of them might be, right? So I think this team would sometimes be a bit horizontal. And then, of course, we have work on documentation and security, which should cross all the other issues, right? What have I forgotten? And does this look a good way to organize it? No hands are up.
I think last time we discussed this. I think this sounds good to me. Unless the I think the both Stephen and Subhash, they were also okay with combining into one team. I think they did not say anything much of having one team for that. So I think we are good at all as far as I'm concerned.
Okay, so I will do this. By the way, do we want to continue calling them task forces or teams? It seems like people are. What do you think? Just teams?
Teams, I think, is better because task forces kind of sound more like they're for a particular thing, you know.
Yeah, I think we called the task forces in the past because it seemed like something a bit more ad hoc. We're getting people together for a specific topic. Maybe we've matured enough to have some structure here. I mean, the team structure might change in future releases. Obviously, ORAN and SA are both very use case specific, but those use cases will probably be with us for a while. So we can definitely change the structures in the future. All right, this looks good to me.
There's one thing under ORAN I can think of. Thinking now. See, Tal, we are doing two things in ORAN. So we are doing something specific to OCloud, something for SMO. So where I'm going with this is this. So basically, for each of this team, we will have some leads now. We'll ask somebody to lead. I mean, some of them is already there. The leads are already there, for example, right? Or most of this, if you see the leads are there, and we also need a sub lead. We just wanted to make it 2 people, and then probably team members. But in case of ORAN, if you see, we are tackling 2 separate things there. 2 distinct kind of work. One is on the SMO side, and one is on the cloud side. And some of the stuff that we are doing on the SMO side is actually the development happening in collaboration with us, but the main development is happening on the OSC, not on FEO. So probably at this point of time, I'm kind of tempted to break ORAN into 2 teams, ORAN SMO and ORAN OCloud, because most likely the people who are looking at ORAN and OCloud are maybe separate, maybe different. Because like I said, a lot of SMO development, for example, some of the things that we are doing for FUCOM related stuff is happening on the OSC side.
So I'll be honest. I feel like even this list of teams is kind of big. How many people do we actually have engineers working, right? I feel like we might not have enough for for multiple teams.
That's okay. If you see, at least it gives the definition. I don't. Yeah, let's have with this and that. Let's go from here. I think I'm pretty. Let's see.
Yeah, we can always subdivide if there's a feeling.
Yes, to be honest with you, I'm also trying to work internally and see if we can get a little bit few more people involved from our side. I know, but we're looking into that. We may have few people coming in.
Yeah, I imagine that the OSC collaboration could bring in people from your companies that are already working on those things, right? I think everybody involved here also has people working on ORAN. So the synergy here could be of benefit. I hope. All right, people are quiet today. These are some big decisions here.
Yeah, I
Any
think
comments or thoughts?
I would still have those 2 items below Oran tall actually,
Okay.
just for the heck of it, and then we can if you want to remove, we can remove it later. Yeah,
Okay, sure.
because I have a feeling we may not have a good representation from the team, because Seishu is leading the SMO sort of work. I know that, and then Stephen and Alexis were doing a lot of things on the cloud side. I being in those meetings, and also Sagar is also involved on both sides. Sagar may speak up a little as well. So I think we will figure out, Tall. I think probably let's have it like this and we'll figure out.
Okay. All right. So let's see who's in the meeting today. Let me look at the participant list. I wonder if people can start associating themselves. Let's get kind of a sense of who would be working on what. I know we don't have everybody here, but let's do this in a very non-committal way, right? So it's more about maybe say what you'd be interested in maybe working on, not necessarily committing that you're on the list and responsible and leading or anything like that, right? I want to just get a sense of how much interest we have in each of these and what we can expect in terms of headcount of engineers. So I hope that's not too soon to do that.
I think that's a good idea, Tall. But I also feel that I have a feeling that we may not have a good representation today, but that's okay. But I still believe what you're doing is the right thing. Probably we should do what you just said.
Yeah, we'll probably need to do this with some document and on Slack, so people who can't make the meeting. I have a feeling this week, maybe because Easter is coming up, it might be a little difficult, or
the
time's an issue, is still an issue.
Yeah.
But we can start. We have a few people here. So how will we do this productively? Oh, hands up. Sagar?
First is Wish and then Sagar and
Oh,
ST.
okay.
Wish,
Sorry,
Yeah. So, Bala and Tal, what assumptions are you making about availability? I mean, just trying to.
No assumptions. Yeah, at this point, it's just interest to see who would be interested in working on it, and I think as the teams form, then we'll try to get more commitments from people.
Yeah, because I was thinking maybe, I mean, at least getting how many hours people are going to be dedicated to Nephew. Is it something of interest to you right now? It's not, seems like. You just want to know, just tag names, seems like, right?
Yeah, me personally, I'm not a micromanaged guy.
No, it's not a micromanaged guy. It is more about a planning. It's like, a planning for resources. Like, for example, right now, I might actually have 10 hours of meeting inside of my company that I need to attend, right? And then we attend like 10 hours of company meetings in Nephew. So which means we'll be left with 20 hours for working on things. So something to think about, from a scope and all this perspective. So lessons learned from the past. So
I mean, there are many factors in how much a resource can be used. I mean, Vish, you might be coming in once a week for an hour and reviewing a few PRs and being of tremendous value, right? It doesn't necessarily mean that you're spending 12-hour days debugging something. So everybody does what they can, but measuring the value, as we know, is not simple. But I feel like that would be the next step, right? To see how much availability individuals have.
okay.
Yeah, Sagar?
Yeah, I was just saying that probably there are two things. Probably what we can do is that we can let people fill it by themselves, how we used to do it in R1. You remember in R1 we had something similar and we just told them that, okay, just fill your name below each and every line and everybody writes their name and that's how we have it there. And second, I don't see any tab for like any any line for CI, because I think we were quite understaffed for CI for from R1 R2.
Great point, Sagar. I meant to add that. Yes, thanks for reminding. I think probably we need to add the CI and testing. Can we add one item for CI and testing? Great, thank you, Sagar.
Okay, so yeah, I just thought that would be SIG 3, but
SIG 3. I think We are
Kind of.
doing together. Please, let's add it. You can put it as a horizontal team also, actually, under horizontal team.
Well, I would put it like this. I mean, testing is horizontal, but we do have SIG3 specific work, things having to do with Prow and GitHub that are, I don't feel like they're horizontal, in the same way that platform isn't. But
Okay.
yeah, let's not create too many teams. I'll call it testing.
Okay.
And
Thanks, Sagar. Is there anything else you wanted to bring, Sagar, in addition to that?
No, nothing. Let's test this.
Okay, cool.
yeah. Technically speaking, we don't have CI. I don't think we have any production system that work. But anyway, oh, the other hands have disappeared. Isti, you wanted to say something? All right. So let's do this. Actually, we can just work on this document right now. If people don't mind, I'm going to share the link to the agenda doc here. And here, let's for each of these. All right. So I'm adding my name here. I'm adding Stephen here.
Subhash was definitely there on that.
Yeah.
Subhash and Stephen too on that one.
Sure, but you know what? I'll let people add themselves.
Okay. No. I was just suggesting names which are very obvious. Who are leading? Yeah.
I took the comment to heart. I'm not going to volunteer people. Let them add themselves according to what makes sense.
So I think talent, we do not have a representation from Oran. I would suggest a couple of names there. If we can add it or if we can wait there later.
Sure.
Definitely the Seshu is working on that. And then Stephen from Ericsson.
How do you spell his name?
How do I? That's the. It's. I'm not sure of the spelling. It's
Stefano or something like that. Stefano, right?
Yeah, I was not too sure of spelling. From Ericsson. That's we can. I know that.
And also, Isti has got his hands up.
Yeah, cool. Isti, please go ahead. Isti, if you're speaking, you're on mute.
Yeah, I think he's unmuted, but we can't hear him. Hopefully, he types.
Is it better now?
Yes, we can hear you now. Yeah.
Okay, sorry. So just a quick question. So I would really like to work on this, what we call NF2 infra. Basically, how can network function packages express their requests toward the infra, and how can the infra express their capabilities? And but I will admit I didn't follow neither ORAN, neither this SA group, the observability group. So this is most relevant in those groups, isn't it?
Yeah, I think so. Probably also in platform, right? Because some of the infra integration actually with infra managers might happen there. Yeah, that's a good question, right? If you're interested in that specific topic, look, again, nothing here is really committed, right? We can add your name, for example, both to ORAN and service assurance, and you can see where things kind of, where things, yeah.
So actually, I'm fine with platform, and most probably we will not have an NF2 infra ready-made solution in R3, but we will have things like the create cluster that we discussed last time that is tightly related to this.
Right, that's a very central ORAN story, actually. So,
yes.
So I know Wim. I don't know, is Wim even at the meeting today? He said he might have trouble joining. So Wim hasn't been today or last week, and I know he takes care of NF2 Infra, so of that task force right now. So I just want to be clear, I'm not trying to remove that or anything. We can bring it as a separate topic if people feel it should be its own team.
Oh, okay, I'm fine it to be part of any of these four. I was just asking where should it fit. So it's
I think, but so my constant idea is that we should be use case driven. This is why I was really trying to argue that we have two teams here that are named after use cases, right? So trying to minimize the ones that are not related to use cases, right? So unfortunately, platform is just too general, and we have too many problems there that we really need its own task force. And SDK as well isn't really tied right now to any specific user story, right? It's again a general usability issues. But yeah, if we can put NF2 Infra inside use case teams, I think that would serve us best. But if people disagree and feel like NF2 Infra really needs its own group, we could do that as well.
So I was under the impression NF2 Infra is always part of the platform.
Yeah, I mean,
because that's the see, when we suggested these names, I was thinking NF2 Infra also we had in mind, and I always at least maybe assumed or believed that it is part of the platform. So that means NF2 Infra team is part of the platform team.
I would agree. So yeah, so if I have to put my name on any of these four, then that would be the platform. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. But I also agree with you, Tal, on being use case driven. So maybe that is where we should start with NF2 Infra to approve a use case that contains whatever that needs NF2 Infra.
Yeah, Steve, there are use cases, for example, right? I was not sure whether you're part of that meeting. Observability and SA have given certain requirements to NF2 Infra. And then according to Wim, again, my high level knowledge, I think those requirements are kind of already satisfied today with the NF2 Infra. So basically, those cross-cutting concerns are happening. So essentially, the way I look at it is like this: anything related to infrastructure or dependency on the infrastructure, I think these teams will contact the platform team, and then the platform team will take that as a requirement. And if it is already not satisfied with what we have, they will work towards it. I think that's at least that's what I was thinking. Does it make sense?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, I think they wanted an actor pod, for example. Whenever there is an observability case, they wanted an actor pod to be deployed on the workload clusters, and they were doing themselves. And then Wim said, no, it's part of a infra story. And then Wim told them how to do that using the NF2 Infra. So I just gave an example.
Okay.
Where the requirements, for example, this
I will catch up.
Yeah. I know there are too many meetings. Even I'm thinking I'm way too behind now. There are too many meetings, especially with SIG1. Yeah.
So I see in the chat, Stephen made some points about observability. Stephen, do you want to raise them?
Hello?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay, I thought my audio was not working again.
Yeah, it's been coming.
So we are. I take the liberty, not liberal, but anyway. So the idea so we only have like three contributors, I guess, right now. If you count Piatra also doing stuff, Ivana seems to be interested, but then observability has very few people, and then our focus, I think, at least from discussions of we aren't clear what the SA use case really are demanding, and it's also, well, it's on one side it's actually way too much, but it's vague and too high level, and B, we want to build something smaller first. So the way we look at that is probably from what you call, it's probably more horizontal that would hopefully at some point satisfy the essay use case when it's become more clear, because technically essay use case is not approved. It's continuously being blocked by Vim, actually. So technically essay use case is not really something that is approved use case. And ORAN I can understand, but then essay at this point I still don't know what it is, and obviously there's also major discussion point that the Actopod is nothing more than the HPA or CUDA that kind of stuff. So I'm anyway. So that's essay problem. I don't speak for essay.
Yeah.
In observability right now we aren't building something for essay because me and the contributors don't feel like there are concrete enough thing. If we do want to do essay requirements, if it becomes more concrete, we still have to actually build the framework first.
So I agree entirely with all of this. So I'll point out, where when talking about use case driven, it doesn't mean that by R3 this use case will be complete. So it's more about a general direction. And obviously for both of these use cases, we have to build basic things, right? So all of these involve platform as well. This is why I kind of put like, vertical, horizontal. Okay, I think maybe someone is dealing with their microphone. Yeah, all of these teams will involve horizontal and vertical work, right? And platform stuff. So I guess we have to admit that some issues might have multiple labels, right? And might appear on multiple boards. And this is maybe a later question. How do we deal with such issues? I always worry that when something doesn't have clear accountability towards a specific leader, it kind of disappears. Everybody kind of doesn't take responsibility for it and it kind of falls away. So we can talk about that specific issue later. But yeah, I mean, if we're starting to build observability pieces, that's fine if they're not totally targeting service assurance, but if there could be some nod towards a specific user story, I think that will help us locate it somewhere. So I don't know, what do you think, Stephen? I think if you'd rather this be just an observability team and not have any specific use case focus.
No, I think you could lump that in part of platform. So platform becomes like everything.
Yeah.
But then so I mean I know that ORAN also asks for observability uses. So this really is being used for more than one use case.
Yeah, which is also, by the way, why I didn't put infra, and it maybe shouldn't be here. Maybe I put too many things here under platform, right? Maybe if we really think of infra as being use case driven, then, it already appears in these two teams, right? So if we have infra issues, I mean, again, there could be a general infra issue, of course, but I think it'll serve us best if every issue is related in some way to a user story, right? So even if it's a vague relation, right? So let's say you're building a model or a controller or something that similar to our status aggregator, right? So you're bringing status and from the workload cluster to the management cluster. And that doesn't seem to be related to any user story. But if you can combine it, put it into a service assurance POC that's being built, it just makes it much more focused. And again, it's kind of my own opinion here, which I didn't get much resistance to. But yeah, the more we can make things user case driven, I think we'll be better served. So what do you think, Stephen? Is that does that make sense to you, or is that a problem?
I've already created a tag for observability anyway. So yeah. the tracking, in terms of tracking issues, is already tracking based on observability. I mean,
yeah, we already have a lot of tags, and I think we said we'll work maybe with in a SIG 3 meeting, but really getting all the GitHub labels in order. We might rename some, or combine some, or just add a lot. So that's almost a separate issue, like how to deal with that. But yeah, I mean, there might be tags that are topic related, and there might be tags that are team related, and we might need to put them with different colors or something. I don't know.
Yeah, I think those things can be. Those are very tactical things. We can handle that.
Right.
So I think, Stephen, irrespective of whether even I have a feeling, even let's say even SA is not approved, there'll be at least a POC on SA, right? I'll be doing at least a POC on SA, and then observability. I mean, at metrics perspective, I personally feel. I mean, again, team may not agree. I think we need to make our platform more observable first before we handle anything else. And definitely there are use cases for both observability as well as SA. I think the way this, I also understand what you're saying, Stephen. Like Wim has been asking a few questions of how we want to do SA stuff. I understand that as well. So, but right now, I think Subhash is integrating enough to infra into observability in terms of the infrastructure needs for the framework. So I think there is progress, is what I understand. Obviously, I could not attend all the meetings, but I have a feeling that Stephen, and also I know I attended your meetings. You already have epics for SDK and observability separately already. So given all this, I think probably this the structure we have right now, and I think it is in accordance with what we already have. Do you agree? Or
yeah, the organization is fine. I don't think I would. Again, I'm just speaking for contributors that are willing to do things for observabilities that are. I would have to say we aren't driven by SA.
okay.
I mean, again, it could be vague. It could be the idea of creating a simple POC. Here's the thing about service assurance, right? On the one hand, it is utterly encompassing. It can like cross your entire orchestration and cloud system, really. But at the smallest level, it's just observability. Really, anything related to observability is service assurance to an extent, right? So, if we have a POC for Nefio R3 with a little bit of observability in it, you can slap the word service assurance on top, and it kind of shows that you're moving in that direction, right? But yeah, I guess we're not quite sure about this team, so I'll put a question mark here, and maybe that's something that will change if we feel that service assurance really is not even ready for R3 as a use case. I have a feeling some people in SIG 1 will be upset about that. I know Subhash worked very hard to build that use case, and
I'm pretty sure at least we can build a POC. So Liam has his hands raised. Liam, please go ahead.
Yeah, if you I let the service assurance topic finish your that discussion and come back to me if you don't mind, Tal. Yeah, it's about something I wanted to talk about porch for a minute.
Sure.
I think we are done with that topic. I think this in my view, I think team should be there. The structure looks good and work is going on. I think it's okay, Liam. I think probably we'll still have it the way it is for now. So Liam, please go ahead with your question.
Yeah, I took the liberty of putting a few thoughts together around porch this morning. I don't know if anyone see it, but I put it into an issue there. So if I can figure out how to get the chat on this, I'll just paste the link in. So I guess this will be under the platform. The auspices of the platform. I don't know, Tal, if you just want to click on that.
Sorry, didn't understand. You want to talk about the issue you put in Slack?
Well, it's just really all I did was well, no, I just wanted to say that I created an issue which is an epic around Porch for R3 this morning. Now I won't be at the call next week because I'm taking the week off for the holidays, but just in case people wanted to have a look at it and maybe talk about it today and tomorrow when I'm around.
Cool.
Can you give us a link to the issue quickly?
It's
So we
in
can...
the chat, actually. Can
it's
you
in
add
the
it to
chat. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Got it. Yeah.
I mean, this is just my first draft. I mean, of course, free for anyone to jump in and. But I've just been expanded then to have links to the various issues that we want to roll over, like we did in R2 and R1 for consolidation. Probably a strong word, but
yeah, it's a big topic. Yeah, I saw it. Thank you so much for this. I'll need some time to delve into it.
Yeah.
I'll say that, once we establish the platform team, I think that's maybe where the discussion should happen. I think it's
that's what I think so too.
Yeah, the whole reason that as I understand it, that we're dividing into teams is just because if our main meeting point is this 1 hour per week here, these are just too big. Each one of these teams will just have to discuss all these implementation and design issues, and there's just not enough room, right? We have to subdivide if we can conquer.
Exactly.
Yeah. So this is great, and you know what? I'll even put this already here in this team. Oops. There we go. So right, because not everybody will be part of that discussion. Well, some is, the issue is that we're still small enough that everybody can be interested in almost everything and be a little bit involved. And definitely on Slack, everybody is welcome to listen in to every topic, but just the reality of things is that people will have limited time. So we're all going to have to be very strategic about where we contribute, right? I'll give you as an example myself. I'm very interested in ORAN. I've been involved in ORAN for years, but I've made the strategic decision that I can't be spread out so much. I'm involved in almost everything else. And I just said, you know what, this is something that I'll have to let other people handle and design, and I'll help when I can, but I just don't have the time to be effective there, right? That's a strategic decision I made for myself. So I guess everybody will be making their own kind of decisions. Vish, go ahead.
Oh yeah, I mean, I was going to ask where Porch is going to land. Since it is part of the platform, that is an area I would be interested, and I would like to be added to the platform team where Porch is being discussed. And also for folks, they can also look up I don't know if the storyboard or the Bala, if the tasks for R3 is already defined for people to sign up, because that is also one thing.
I think board is there, Vish. I think we have to start creating issues based on this. Yeah. Some of the issues are there, but we need to add the tags and other things. Yeah.
Okay. I know we always used to have some technical debt, but that is not something we're going to capture here, right? That is like that will be sitting in the board and people can sign up for it.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, what I'm hoping for this team would be fixing bugs. We have absolute bugs that we know about and instabilities. That to me is the highest priority. But yeah, we'll see when we organize that team more. I think that the next step. So again, this week we don't have everybody here, and I'll try to advertise this and get other people on Slack to add their names when they can.
I think next week is going to be even worse for people.
That's true. Yeah, but on Slack, maybe people will have some time, unless people are on complete vacation, so they can add more names to this list. But I don't know if this list is going to get much longer. I mean, it might double in size as more people join, but it's not a lot of resources. We have definitely people who appear in multiple places. But
yeah, for example, documentation, you can definitely add Gurgly.
Well, he hadn't added himself here, but
Yeah, no, we just did this, right? I mean, some of the obvious names I'm suggesting.
yeah, I'll put a question mark.
Security, for example, Rahul is working on security and things like that. Yeah.
Yeah, I added Rado and Victor on the testing and CD just in their
Okay.
absence. So, but
Yeah.
yeah, but I guess it's what constitutes a contributor as well. Like, have we yeah.
Yeah, I think
You know.
I'm sure.
Well, this is a SIG2 meeting, so I think contribution here would be writing code or reviewing code. That's
Yeah,
kind of weird.
writing code, docs, tests. Yeah.
Yeah, well,
Test.
documentation is not code per se, but I would elevate it to the level of code if you're committing something.
Yeah.
So, yeah, for me, it's pretty straightforward what contribution means here. SIG1 might be a little bit more vague in terms of contribution.
Yeah.
I
think, Carl, I think once we advertise this, I'm hopeful that we'll have more people join.
I hope so too, but I think, as a reality check for all of us, even if we double this list here, it's not a lot of people.
No.
And hopefully we'll have more. I'm hoping to be pleasantly surprised. I know some people joined the project recently, but they might be a bit too timid about throwing their hat in the ring in terms of contribution. They might join later on as the projects start to move and have more structure. But yeah, we have to be very realistic in our resources and what we can accomplish, right? And per team, right? The platform team has a long list on it right now, so I think that's great. I think that means we'll probably be able to tackle some major bugs. But if ORAN doesn't have a long list of people, they'll probably have to settle for a more smaller POC for they'll have to pick and choose what to actually implement.
On the ORAN side, probably I'm pretty sure there'll be few more names there.
Yeah.
I think we do not have all the people here, maybe.
Yeah, Alexei will probably be involved, I imagine, and but I'm gonna add his name very tentatively here.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
And then Seshu was saying, yeah, I think since I told you that some of the development is happening on the OSC side, probably. Sagar, do you want to add some more data into that one? How and where you are involved in that, etc.
Not really at the moment, because I'm working with Seshu and Ravi for the SMO use case. Then then there is also another use case for the NF reconfiguration. And then Eric also had some views on that particular use case. So that one, and then after that, there is another use case which is there where we have to also deploy the RIG radio. The RIG and XAP use case.
Yeah.
So in that use case, I'm working with Naman. So there we already gonna change the operators for update the OAI operators and do that thing. So this time I think I will mostly involve in CI also with Victor and Rado. So that's what mostly this time we're gonna do this release.
Okay, so probably should we add you into ORAN and the CI stuff, Sagar?
Yes, sure.
Can we add the Sagar's name for the ORAN and CI and testing thing?
Yeah, but by the way, I don't think we have any interest, or we're not looking at real-time RIC for for.
No, actually, this is deployment of RIC using Nepio.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, that is just a use case. There are like other use cases there. We are it's just deploying RIC like as we deployed the other NFs, so it's just increasing our NF repository, let's say.
Yeah,
but I imagine real-time RIC would involve infrastructure, maybe real-time kernels, things like that. But
no, not really. I mean, the one which we are doing for the moment, I think it does not really need it. let's
Okay.
say. So I think it's fine. Later on, if some things are needed, then we have to think about it. Not for now, yeah.
Okay, thank you very much for that. Liam?
Yeah, I was just wondering, what's the next steps now, Tal? Should we set up meetings for these groups, or
I feel like
Yeah,
not
first
quite
we-
yet. I feel like we're missing a lot of people. So
Okay.
I think you're right. I think because of the times and issues, and now the Christian holiday, I think it might be, over the next week.
Yeah, maybe let's leave it till the second week of
Yeah,
April.
I think once we have more a list, then we can also define time zones and
the leads.
who the leads are, and then like an actual date.
I think you let I think Tal, I'm thinking once the leads and some leads are defined, and they will
Yeah,
manage the meetings and they will handle the functioning.
Yeah, hopefully, yeah. Yeah, I think all of us would like this to be finalized so we can start working. But as usual, we just have so much bookkeeping to do and organization. Sorry, I'm thinking out loud here. The last two releases were like this as well. We spent like 2-3 months talking and then 2-3 months working, right? And that kind of covers the 6-month release cycle. And then we get a crunch where, all the work starts immediately. But, people are working on stuff. There are issues coming in. And this is wonderful. We have people who are not waiting for, the marching orders and are still trying to fix things, especially in platform. Big thanks to Fikra and Liam. I know both of you are looking at fixing stuff there, probably while you're testing it, but that's all good.
Yeah.
So
Well,
I don't know.
Maybe we can give these teams a bit more longevity, if that's the word. And dovetailed into R4 would be great. But let's see if that can be done.
Yeah, I agree with your sentiment. If these things become more stable, then we won't have to open them up for discussion on the next release. And generally, the release cadence should not define our work so much, right? This idea that we make a release and then we're tired and we rest, and then we wait a bit until we start working on the next release. I mean, the work should be more continuous and less hysterical. Right? Because I know I already see what's going to happen, right? We're going to start probably working on this in about a month, maybe. And then we're going to have a very small window to get things ready for R3. And everybody's going to be going nuts about what's going to be included and what's not going to be included. And I'm trying and failing to fight against this. I keep trying to move us into a more continuous work. I think people want to do that, but I still feel that our release cadence is really forcing our hand here. The 6-month release cadence is hard. Hopefully we'll be able to deal with this better, but yeah. Oh, I see another note in the chat regarding One Summit. Yeah, let's put it on the agenda for next week for whoever's here, to kind of maybe make some One Summit related plans.
So did we get a room, Tom?
I have no idea. I think Kandan started talking to.
Having gone through these summits for a few times, I don't think to be any, practically speaking, I don't think to be any problem getting a room. There'd be lots of rooms.
Yeah, there's a room for Nefio on Thursday.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks,
and
Timo.
by the way, the Nefio R3 Summit is also coming up. So I don't know what the plans are exactly, but it's going to happen not too soon, right? In the next couple of months, maybe. Yeah. It's been talked about in the TSC. So
I must have been
What
asleep.
is that? What is that?
Just like we had a summit for R1 and R2, we're going to have a developer summit an FEO Developer Summit for R3.
I thought that was
I
the
think-
same one. Thought that was the same as the one
no.
summit, the 2 days after.
Yeah,
no?
it is. Yeah, it is. It is the same one and same thing. That's the Thursday on One Summit week. That's
well then.
at least currently planned thing.
Okay. All right. Well, I think we're at time. Sorry, I filled it up with some of my random thoughts here, but I'm trying myself to kind of gather this together to a workable, practical plan. And for myself, I'm also struggling to remove the overhead, right? I'm just always worried that we get too much into labeling and organization, and we end up having discussions about organizing rather than doing. So this is why I'm trying to keep things kind of loose. This is my own style. But people absolutely push back against me if you think I'm getting too loose. And if you need something to be more formalized and more strict, then we'll definitely go in that direction if you feel the need for it. So thank you everybody for your thoughts today and for throwing your hat in the ring, at least tentatively. Again, none of this is commitment, right? You're always welcome. It's in writing here, but you're always welcome to step back if you feel like it's not the right place for you. So I understand next week is a holiday for many people, so it might be tough, but we'll try to fill up the agenda and be effective. What I'll do is take this to Slack, and maybe on Slack people can add more information here.
Yeah, let's advertise in both SIG automation and SIG architecture, this particular thing.
Sure, I'll do that right now. Yeah.
Cool. Thank you, Tor. Yeah.
Okay. If there's no last thoughts, thank you everybody. And for those who celebrate the religious holiday, I wish you a good holiday.
Yeah, happy
And,
Easter. Yeah, cool.
happy
Thanks very much, Tal.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.